Hello, rollers. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Roll Report and our Zoom-based shenanigans for today. We are all electronic, and it's going to be great. My name is Colin. I use he and they pronouns. I am the debatably friendly DM of our little show here, and I am joined by a fabulous cast that I am so excited to play the next in our series of summer one-shots with. I'm going to let people introduce myself. Let's go clockwise to me. So I'm going to say Ben.
Hello, my name is Ben Rogue. I use he, him pronouns, and I will be... Oh, we're going to introduce our characters later. So, that's all you need to hear from now. Woo!
Where can we find you?
I am on Instagram at Ben_Rogue. Whoop.
Yeah. Passing it to our special guest.
Hi, I'm Lizzie Marsden. I also go by Tasmaniac. I use they, he pronouns, and you can find me Captain Martian on Instagram, but Martian with an S instead of a T, because I'm weird like that.
And we love weird. We love it.
Yeah, that is a delightful Instagram account. I was particularly enamored of the train content I saw a couple of months ago. There was like some really good
trains content. Are awesome, though.
Trains
I was
are
like, wow,
cool.
This is really solid train content. Yeah.
Yeah. Last but not least.
Hi, I'm Kaya May. I use they, them pronouns, and you can find me at Instagram at Kaya May, KAYAMEYY. We all need
double
more Ys.
Because
we need double Ys. And you can follow the show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Roll Report Cast. And you can't find me, but you can find my cats on Instagram at No Good Cats.
Meow.
Meow. And so with that, I think the little bit of preamble that I'm going to say is that we're trying several different things with our one-shots this summer. And the thing that I am trying is to tell a bit of a concurrent story to our main campaign with some new characters. So time is a soup, but this is happening approximately at the same time as our heroic trio's adventures, travels, trials, and tribulations in the city of Sea Shallow. Approximately the same time, but a little bit farther away. And so we're not going to do a recap because there's no point, because it's a one-shot. I think the thing I will say, the thing that is relevant for those of you who have been sticking with us, is to remember what's going on. And what's going on in the islands is we've seen a lot of this strange cult, the Harbingers of Crimson, popping their little robed heads up here and there and causing a lot of trouble, like shipping crates full of undead things around and summoning monstrosities and aberrations back to the world that haven't been seen in hundreds or thousands of years. And I think that's about all anyone needs to know. So with that, let's dive right in. As our story begins, our camera zooms outward from the city of Sea Shallow and heads northeast, passing ships and small islands dotted amongst the azure sea. A week's sail from Sea Shallow lies the island of Tridenton. Like many of the more central islands of the archipelago, a hub of commerce, magic, and the exchange of ideas. Its two major ports, Rywin's Bay and Port Squall, bustle with activity at almost all hours as trading ships, navies, messengers, and privateers mingle in the dockyards and taverns. Our camera spirals down closer, past brightly lit casinos and bars, spilling music and laughter into the streets of Rywin's Bay, past the marketplaces that teem with exotic fruits, vegetables, and more, and past the seedier dive bars, brothels, gambling dens, and worse of Port Squall to the far eastern edge of the island. And a new point, in fact, several points of light, appear, growing rapidly in our view as we zoom closer and see a gaily colored and brightly lit collection of enormous tents. To the residents and denizens of Tridenton, as to many islands of the archipelago, this cluster of canvas can mean only one thing. The circus is in town. Cecily's circumnavigating cerulean circus travels the islands of the archipelago under the direction of its leader and ringmaster. Thank you. I worked hard on that one.
That's delightful.
The circus travels under the direction of its leader and ringmaster, Cecily Straudmore, and draws its recruits from all across the archipelago. By this time, by the current time in our adventure, several branches of the circus travel independently as demand for its particular brand of entertainment has grown. And if there's been a corresponding uptick in theft, political intrigue, assassinations occasionally, and perhaps the All-Island Alliance having the upper hand in delicate trade negotiation, well, who's to say that correlation implies causation?
So a naughty circus then.
A naughty circus in a very particular form, the best kind. On this particular night, within the tent's hearty crowds roar encouragement to a variety of acts performing here and there. A trapezist perched high above their head as she swings and flips. Illusory light shows sparkle and dance among the tent ceilings, and weightless acrobats tumble along the walls of canvas. And it is here that we meet our players. I'm going to roll a D6 to see who's going to perform and introduce their act first. I'm going to say 1 to 2 is Kaya, 3 to 4 is Lizzie, and 5, 6 is Ben. I didn't grab physical dice, so we'll see what Google says. That is a 4. So, Lizzie, who would you like to introduce us to who you will be playing tonight, and what are you doing in the circus?
Nice to meet you, folks. I'm Punchinella Fiorillo, Punchy for short. So, Punchy is decked out in full black, white, and red clown gear. He's got a big-ass club with him, and he's facing off with another clown named Slappy. To the untrained eye, it looks like they're in a deep state of battle. But for some reason, it just keeps being like a bonk noise, all sorts of different funny noises as they whack at each other. They're doing flips over each other. It's all the classic slapstick you ever could have imagined. Punchy is much more dexterous than a slightly older Slappy, and so is constantly trying to do flips where he grabs him by the back of the shoulders and flips him over. But Slappy holds his own. So That's Punchy.
Amazing. The crowd roars with laughter as Slappy sends one right into the pie of the face, as it were, and Punchy flips over. Roll us, I'm going to say your choice, performance or acrobatics for the act tonight.
Nat 20.
Wow. It's amazing. The two of you are connected in like ways that is only possible with deep trust, long hours of rehearsal, and enormous amounts of affection and snark exchanged between two clowns. The slapstick goes off without a hitch. Back and forth you trade blows and false punches, the occasional rubber chicken noise, and the crowd eats up every single drop as the night goes on. Amazing. Yeah, Punchy is on their game. Does Punchy have particular pronouns?
They, he as well, but it's basically like a who knows.
Reasonable, very reasonable. Well, yes, it is one of the great, they know as you walk off stage, Slappy kind of looks over and goes, "That was one of the best shows of our life, kid. Nice work tonight. Nice work."
You're telling me, old man, we fucking killed it.
Oh, you fucking calling, old man, you whippersnapper. I ought to clean your clock for good, for real this time.
Fucking try me.
And in the casual banter, the two of you begin making your way backstage. I'm going to roll again. Let's say 1 to 3 is going to be Ben, and 4 to 6 is Kaya. It's another 4. Kaya.
Ooh.
Please introduce who you are playing tonight and what is your act in the circus.
I'm playing Brig Ella, and she is a tabaxi rogue, and her act is a mixture of acrobatics and knife throwing. And she does a beautiful back handspring onto the stage and then slinks her way towards the audience and finds the most attractive young female and seduces her onto the stage with a purr.
Roll a persuasion check. Roll for purr.
Roll for purr. I got a 19.
Oh, look at these performances.
4, so that's a 23.
You saunter up very close to a young female dwarf with a very silky, plaited, elaborate beard and the armor that suggests having breasts and abs somehow at the same time. And her jaw just drops. Oh, you want me to? Okay, I'll do. Yeah, what do you need me to do? Can I just hold your hand or?
No, but follow me.
Okay,
And then she
follows you onto the stage.
And I put an apple in her mouth seductively. And then on top of her head. And then I have her facing sideways to the audience. And then I run backwards and I then do a whole tumbling act. And then as I'm like a meter away, I just like dart very quickly these knives at this lady's face and head.
Amazing. Roll, let's say acrobatics. Yeah, acrobatics for the acrobatic part of your act.
That is a 24.
Wow.
22.
Yep. It is in perfect rhythm with the backing band beginning to play a little slinkier, more seductive, slightly jazz-influenced melody, if we were to label it as something recognizable to our world. And you stalk across the stage a series of handsprings and back walkovers, leading you up directly to this spot, a few mere feet away from this poor dwarf. And make an attack roll with advantage with your daggers. Because who knows? It usually goes well, but it still might not.
That's a 9. But I have luck.
You can absolutely use lucky, and you also. What is your modifier for your dagger?
Oh, meow.
+6. So it would be a 15. But you can also use your lucky.
I'm going to use my lucky.
Okay.
It's performance. 19 plus 6. 25.
I'm going to say with that, you land this handspring and a flip 3 feet away, hold up 2 daggers in one hand, flick them out, and both pierce directly through the arrow. Thunk! And it drops neatly into her hand, which of course is positioned where it would drop. And she peeks out from like under her hands that were blocking her eyes and just looks at you and then like holds the apple on the daggers and takes a bite out of it.
And then I wink at her. And then I wink at the audience.
Blushes bright red. The audience bursts into applause and you bow gracefully and make your exit.
I'd like to do a back handspring, just like backwards tumble.
Absolutely. Yeah. A series of them lead you off stage. I'm going to say make a dexterity saving throw to hit the exit as the next act enters, and you have to precisely aim where these back handsprings go to.
19 plus 6. That's 25.
I mean,
dude,
yeah.
These higher level characters get to do all sorts of cool shit.
I mean, you're rolling real well. Yeah. Brig Ella just neatly tumbles back, hits your mark perfectly. The spotlight drops off of you, and immediately the next act, a juggler begins coming on stage, flipping clubs around and cheering the crowd on. And as you make your way also towards the backstage, we come to the final member of our trio for this evening. Ben, please tell us who you are playing and what are you doing in the circus tonight?
Okay, so my character is called Tempero Magistus, and he is a Vidalcan wizard.
Okay.
So he is going to walk into the ring and look at the musicians and say, and they will fall silent. And then I'll walk into the middle of the ring and put my fingers to my lips.
The crowd slowly falls silent until just the little rattle of popcorn in a paper bag is heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is in your mind. And then I will cast light above my head and slowly start to float into the air. And then I will look around the audience and see who brought their pet.
Make a perception check as you float above the crowd. The crowd, meanwhile, their head begins craning backwards as you float higher.
Okay, we've got a 14 on a perception.
Okay. Yeah, there is, you see, it looks like a human, perhaps, maybe half elf, like human, but a little bit non-standard features, who seems to have some sort of perhaps a raven or other dark bird perched on one shoulder. A little difficult to tell with the colored lights and illusory magic that is keeping the tent illuminated. And you also see what looks like a family of gnomes that have a dog hilariously twice the size of any of them.
Okay, great. So immediately I lock eyes with the family of gnomes. And then
Is he looking at us? Oh, he's looking at us.
What you are about to see, ladies and gentlemen, and all other people in the audience, is not for the faint of heart. And then I will cast lightning lure on the dog to drag it toward me.
Oh my God.
And then I'm going to cast vortex warp so that the dog, using its momentum from the lightning lure, flies up into the air. And then right at the peak of the azimuth of the ballistic trajectory of its flight, I will cast momentary stasis so that it's frozen in midair. And then I will cast light, so now the dog is illuminated and glowing above the arena and everybody's heads.
I think roll me an Arcana check for you. This is all based on your magical abilities.
Okay, it's a 14.
Okay. Everything, it happens. You see it in your mind. You visualize each of these things happening. The dog looks slightly nervous. And as you lash out with a lure, it does in fact roll an 18 on its strength save. So you have to, nothing to see here, folks, drag it across the sand to you. And then the stash of treats in your pockets, always kept for such an emergency, naturally comes to your rescue. The dog accepts a treat and becomes much more compliant. As it gets closer, you vortex warp it into the air. Momentary stasis freezes it in place for a solid 6 seconds as the light glows off of it and illuminates it. What happens when momentary stasis wears off?
So by this time, I have floated all the way up to where the dog is, and I will catch it gently in my arms and float back down to the family of gnomes and place the dog gently amongst its family again.
There is a 2-second long dead silent hush as the crowd has just watched this whole thing happen, processing what they've seen. As you gently return the dog barks once and starts licking the face of the youngest and smallest gnome, and the crowd bursts into rapturous applause. Wild cheers follow you as you float towards the exit and off stage. The cheers, adulation follows you past the exit. And so, a short time later, as the show has neared its completion, the last 2 acts are in the main tent. The rest of the smaller tents have shut down. Food is shut down. And you all gather in the backstage dressing room area, exchanging banter and removing costumes and makeup slowly as the rest of the cast joins you. The three of you are all stopped by your stage manager, a gruff orc by the name of Zav. Oi, you three. Boss wants to see you. And
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I don't make the rules. It'll only take a minute, they said. And she points down along a canvas passage towards an almost hidden door.
Really, it's not like we've done enough.
Yeah, I don't... Tonight was a good show. What could we fucking be in trouble for?
I don't think you in trouble. But ought to go see.
Sounded that.
Well, it sounds like we might be getting a bonus.
Yes, I think we all deserve a raise here.
I agree.
He must have seen those incredible performances. There could only be one reason for this.
Yeah, tonight was a good fucking show. Oh man, maybe we got extra
you
tips.
miss that dog. You got to work on getting the animal to come willingly.
What are you talking about? That dog was enjoying every second of that experience. He'll never forget it, clearly.
She just kind of nods, points down the passage again, and moves on. You see her moving towards a group of acrobats and pausing to, like, in a low rumble, give them some notes.
During that entire conversation, I've used my stealth to just appear at the door and go through the door. Because clearly, I think if I arrive first, I will get a bigger bonus.
Sure. Do the rest of you follow?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have one of the the leftover pies, and I'm just eating the whipped cream out of the tin as we're walking.
Yeah. As you follow along this passage and open this door, you see inside waiting for you not Cecily Strodmore, who you have all come to know fairly well in your time with the circus, but another woman that you don't know. Human, short, maybe 5'3", extremely pale, with long silvery white hair, wearing nothing but black and leather armor, and with 3 knives that you can see at least. And she is kind of sitting perched on the desk inside. There's a little desk, a few chairs, the accoutrement of Cecily Strodmore's office. And she turns your way, raises one eyebrow at the pie in Punchy's hand, and says, "Evening, y'all. I don't believe you know me yet, but that was a hell of a show. I'm Maddie." And she holds out a hand.
Punchy immediately goes up with his non-pie hand and goes, "Nice to meet you. How you doing?"
I can't complain, I suppose. Heard a bit about you, most of it good. Most of it. And
Pleased to meet you, Maddie. Why have you brought us in here? I have an adoring public to receive favors of monetary and other types.
we got a more important concern. And I figured y'all wouldn't mind getting away from the circus for a bit of a job, assuming the reward was right.
Well,
What
it will
kind
have
of
to be
reward
a
are you
pretty
talking about?
penny.
Among other things, favor of myself and the organization that y'all truly work for, which I assume you are at least mildly aware of at this point. I believe you've all been with the circus some time. And I got a bit of a problem. Y'all know, I assume, about the Harbingers, do you not? Everybody make a history check.
That is a pretty weak 9.
I got an
So
11.
no, I don't know who the Harbingers are.
The Harbin who's?
Amazing.
It
So
almost rings a bell.
none of you quite put it together. You have this is a word you have heard before, but as to its context and meaning, completely lost. And as you sort of exchange these couple blank looks of, Maddie shrugs. All right, I don't know why I would assume that Cecily would keep y'all up to date on everything, or that y'all would be aware. So this is this cult that's been around. You might have seen some of those red robes at the last island or two you visited. Harbingers of Crimson, they call themselves. Damn fools trying to do who knows what, but it ain't good. And among other things, they're starting to promote isolationism, xenophobia, speciesism, that sort of bullshit that we got rid of, or we hope to get rid of 400 years ago after the visit. So they're causing a lot of ruckus, and someone here on Tritonton is giving them money, refuge, false documents, letting them send all sorts of things all over the archipelago. Now, I've been here a short time, and I've narrowed it down to 3 suspects. There's the dockmaster, a woman named Usera Flint, the magistrate, as if that's any surprise, a man named Renee Michaud, and the head of the merchant guild hereabouts was an elf named Atremanor Ravenwish. Now, tonight at the City Hall in Rywans Bay, there's a party, big swanky party. All 3 of them should be in attendance, along with any number of hobnob and who's-y what's-this from around the island and anyone who happens to be visiting. I managed to secure 1 invitation. She reaches into a little pouch on her belt and pulls out 1 beautifully engraved and calligraphed, past tense of calligraphy, piece of like embossed paper. And you see this like, bit of gold gilded lettering, red and white and thick cardstock with 1 invitation to the annual City Hall ball. Now,
I cast Mage Hand and try to take it out of her hand.
She lets you. She's not holding on to it very tight and just like, if you think you got the best chance of getting in with the invitation, I leave all the details up to y'all. Now, what I need is some kind of proof of who it is back in the cult. Either by, if they let something slip, if you happen to hear them in conversation, or their offices are all on the 3rd floor of the building. And you might be able to just get inside and find something. I myself have not been able to gain access. And I think that they might be on to me, which is why I'm not going myself.
Very well. I'm sure we can do this without too much difficulty. So 1 of us, you say, will be able to get in through the front door. What are the other 2 supposed to do?
Well, I got a couple ideas, and I'm sure creative folk like yourself will have more. You could have someone be a bodyguard, perhaps. I'm not sure if they'd be able to accompany you inside all the way, but at least they ought to be able to get inside. You might try to even get 2 bodyguards if you can present yourself as someone of that much import. You could try sneaking in the back, either as staff, there to do some jobs for the party, or even just staff of the City Hall itself, if you think you got the chops for it. She looks over at Brig. You might just climb in and go through a window. I don't know. Sure, it's up to you.
You're quite perceptive.
I do have my ways, and she winks.
Well, then, I'm sure flying and invisibility will come in hand as well.
Certainly couldn't hurt. Now, it ain't like magic is uncommon. It's possible that they have some sort of defenses and or ability to see such things. I just don't want you to assume that y'all are invincible simply by having a wizard like yourself with you.
That would be a foolish thing to assume.
I met plenty of very smart people later turned out to be fools.
Hey, don't talk bad about fools. We're good people.
Fair enough. Idiots? How about idiots?
That's fair. I met a few of those.
All right. And brought you a little something that should make this hopefully a tiny bit easier, and please try not to lose them. She reaches into a different pouch, and she pulls out 3 dark metal. They almost look like a pillbug or sort of a segmented arthropod of some sort. Now these here, put them in an ear, y'all ought to be able to communicate with each other as long as you stick within a mile. And should be unreadable, unhearable.
Are you serious that you want me to put that disgusting little creature in my ear?
It's, she just like shakes it and it like rattles and is clearly made of metal. It ain't a live creature, it's a tool.
Oh, forgive me.
Perception, temper tempo.
As you wish. And she hands them. Well,
Did we get to like what the money was going to be about this job? I get that we're going to get like favors and shit, and you guys are going to like us better. But like, is there a cash grab here?
Of course there is. I wouldn't be myself if I wasn't making sure that there was a reward promised at the end of it, in addition to gaining our favors. Right as she says this, there is the sound of a huge explosion and an odd ripping, tearing sound like silk or some other kind of fabric, but much louder. Maddie curses loudly, crossing the room and throwing open the door. You all see flames already beginning to lick up the walls of the backstage area and hear the screams of the few civilians left and some of your coworkers and friends. And then a pair of enormous tree trunk thick, massive legs tipped in claws slam down into the tent and slash the canvas apart. She looks back and just goes, "Oh, fuck. All right, we got it. You have to get out of here. This is far too much for y'all to handle. Out the back way." And she crosses the room, throwing open a small door that leads to the exterior of the tent, and in the same motion, throwing a dagger in the direction of the feet, and just begins gesturing, "Get out. Y'all gotta go."
I suppose it's time to leave.
I grab the earpiece things.
I sleight of hand her other dagger. Other two daggers that we see.
Roll sleight of hand.
That's a 22.
She grabs your hand.
These seem like they'd be useful.
Yeah, I'm gonna need them. Y'all have your own tools, I would assume. Do you not? I'm staying here. Get. And she just, without saying another thing, she shoves you, Brig, out the door, slams the door behind you, although the tent is collapsing in tatters all over the place. And you, as you look back, see her pull 3 more daggers from somewhere and then pull up the hood of her cloak and disappear.
Ooh.
And the 3 of you begin fleeing into the night. So the circus has been set up on the far eastern edge of the city. And you have sort of the immediate area around you as you begin running is catching on fire. This, looking behind you, a 40-ish foot tall creature looms against the night sky, slamming down as you see bits of magic thrown by the other circus members towards it. But you begin heading back towards Port Squall and Rywin's Bay towards the city hall. A short time later, you feel you have gained enough distance to at least pause and figure out what the fuck just happened and what to do.
Friends, what was that creature and where did it come from?
Some big ass fucking tree attacked the circus with fire? What the fuck?
Punchi, you have to swear always like that.
I'm sorry. It's just like from where I come from. Like it's not really swears. It's just like an expression of affection. And also like the circus was just set on fire. I feel like it's kind of relevant to the feelings that I'm expressing right now.
If you must express your feelings, then go on.
The circus is on fire. Where's Slappy?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Anyone or all 3 of you make a perception check, sort of for what you can see behind you as you are heading away.
That's a
15.
Nat 20, 27.
15.
So what you can see is that, the circus is in fact full of extremely talented people. And the ones that did not sort of immediately succumb to this attack out of sheer shock in the moment have all sort of rallied and are helping fight it. You do see Slappy is being pulled out of some rubble by a couple of the other clowns, looks okay, and they sort of stand him up and then charge back in, waving giant oversized rubber chickens that make squeaking noises as they do appear to be doing a small amount of damage as well. You see that there is sort of the company medic, who is a monk, an elven monk, is immediately over. You see the glow of her key as she tends to the few wounded civilians that aren't underneath this thing's feet. But you do see that Slappy particularly has escaped. I think notably you do not see Maddie completely at what is your nat 20 total? Sorry.
27.
you do catch a glimpse of her. As she like leans out from behind sort of one of the bleachers that are still standing, throws another dagger that you see blooms into a 5-foot cube cloud of daggers right around the creature's chest, and then disappear back into the shadows underneath this thing. You do not see Cecily Strodmore.
Cecily.
Do we need to go back and try to rescue Cecily? It appears that Maddie has this fight under control, but I am concerned for the rest of our friends.
I think they're fine. I've seen many of them have escaped, and Slappy has squawkers and is doing a valiant job protecting.
Yeah.
Very well.
I think we got to do this thing with the party and shit.
All right. Well, I suppose we'd better go and find this building and find a way inside.
To note also, like in the, y'all are still in show costume, probably still in makeup, and any smoke, debris, anything that you've acquired, but you set off towards the other side of the island. Can I get a group, let's say, survival check to see just how quickly and easily you're able to make your way over there?
17.
It's a 4.
Punchy's very stressed. It's a 4.
We're bickering the whole time about whether or not we should go back and forth.
Yeah. The bickering just slows it down because every 30, 40 feet, you got to like stop and look back and make the decision again. I think that makes, what is that? That's like a group 8, 17, 8, 25. Yeah. 24 divided by 3. So, the night goes on a little bit. Like the circus starts on the earlier side to allow for, young-ish children to still attend and not be out too late. But by the time you have crossed the other side of the island, you all kind of notice as you go on the Port Squall is the really rough side of the island. You make your way kind of out of these. Nothing is really slum-like, but it is definitely the working class, less frills, and more likely to hold illegal dealings side of the island. And the western side, where it officially becomes Rywin's Bay, becomes well lit. You start seeing some actual sort of street lamps that are usually something like a drift globe that's just attached to a pole 10 or so feet up. A couple of them are actual torches with continual flame spells cast upon them, just flickering little bits of firelight, particularly around the doors of some of the houses and shops that you pass. And eventually, you do find your way all the way towards City Hall. City Hall in Rywin's Bay is a large stone building, a somewhat what we would refer to as classical style, a large dome in the center and kind of 2 smaller wings sticking out to each side. And you see that the main entrance is sort of a roundabout. And there's a small line. At this point, there's the last few carriages waiting in line, and you see them beginning to pull up, disgorge their occupants towards the gate at the front of City Hall. There seems to be some sort of interaction, and then people continue inside, and the carriage continues onwards into the night. Let's get a round of perception as well as you show up. And I'm going to say it seems reasonable that you do make your way there. It's closer to 10, 11 o'clock, getting closer to midnight. And you can stop a little, like a block or so away where you can see but remain relatively unseen.
23.
I rolled a 9 on that.
18.
What was yours, Kaya?
23.
Okay, great.
Okay. So Tempo, I think you are still very concerned about the friends that you have made in the circus, and it's hard to not keep returning your gaze to the areas behind you where you have left. Punchy and Brig, you are both much more easily able to focus on the task at hand. The building in front of you, you see there, so there's this main gate. It looks like there are 2 guards on either side of the gate. One of them seems to be checking some sort of invitation. It seems easy to assume a piece of paper that people are holding as they walk in. There are 4 more carriages in line, and it seems like it takes, 2 to 4 minutes for each carriage to let people out, have them get checked in, and depart. The building looks to be 4 stories tall. The main steps kind of go right up to the 2nd story, and that's the large entrance that the people are coming into. You also see that entrance is emitting light and occasional bursts of laughter or the faint swells of music. You're a little bit too far away to hear exactly what's being said or what's being played, but that does seem to be the party. And then the 2 floors above that there are a number of windows and what seems to be a mostly flat roof, except for the dome in the center. And it does look like kind of the ground level floor seems, I think, Brig, you noticed this. It seems like a couple carriages are parked kind of like back where the stairs meet the building, if that makes sense. Like the stairs are kind of this like long, wide circle that go up to 1 story above ground level. And a couple carriages have like tucked right in close to the building. And the windows at ground level, of which there are several, appear to have wooden or metal bars and also be dark. So the only illumination right now is coming from the main 2nd floor where it seems the party is happening.
Is there any way for our resident magician to do a costume change for us? Do you have the magics for that?
So I have invisibility and flight, which I think are probably the most helpful things. I'm also wearing a cloak of elvenkind, which gives some bonuses to stealth, but I would imagine invisibility and flight would be the 2 most straightforward ways of getting in for us.
I mean, I can change the way I look. What are we going to try and...
One of us has a ticket, so
Yeah,
we only need to sneak 2 of us in.
Even with the ticket, you want to fit in.
Right. That's true.
I don't think
Also, we should probably put those metal disgusting bugs in our ears. So if
they're not
are
bugs.
entering through separate ways, we're prepared to communicate with one another.
Yes.
I take one for myself and hold out the jar for you guys.
All right. I pop one in my ear too, tap it a little bit. Ugh. Even though it's not alive, I don't like this experience at all.
So as a quick aside, you should be able to find these and add them to your inventory if you like. These are a device known as a spy's murmur.
Okay.
So what it technically says, if you know a creature wearing another spy's murmur and that creature is within 1 mile, you can communicate telepathically with each other. And as a bonus action, you can allow that creature to hear everything you hear for 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
And you can end that effect as a bonus action as well. And I'm going to hand wave the attunement. Like you absolutely attune to them. They work. That is the whole point of having them.
Dope.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Spy's murmur.
So as you each kind of plug these little things in, you feel the way they've been designed. I think tempo for you, tempo or tempus that are short.
Tempo's good. Yeah.
Tempo. It's like even it triggers your gross reflex a little bit because the way they have been constructed, you feel almost as if a little insect has fastened itself onto your ear as its sort of leg facets begin wrapping around the curls and spirals of your earlobe to hold it in place. And then there's a little sort of pop. And as you think in a loud fashion, you begin hearing each other's thoughts echoing. I'm curious if anyone initially is thinking anything hilarious and or embarrassing.
Well, what the fuck? What's happening? Is this actually a bug? Why does it feel this way? This is a very strange thing. And Punchy's just like a constant stream of consciousness.
Is there any other way to mute other people's thoughts? I'm already feeling distracted.
Brigella has like silence going.
Just extremely zen and trying desperately to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have your murmurs. You can hear each other, and you have some amount of information. And what you would like to do with it is entirely up to you.
So did we say, did it appear that most of the party was taking place on this sort of first level above ground where the main entrance is? Okay.
Yes, that is, and I think as you get the murmur in and direct your attention that way, Tempo, you also see that is the only floor that is at all illuminated. Brig, you do see as you continue to watch this and put the spy's murmur in. There's
Ears
like
twitch uncomfortably.
Very, it's gross for a cat. There's a point of light that does seem to be moving. You see it kind of appear in a window on the third floor, and then it kind of travels across the path of the window, goes out, appears at the next window in line, goes out, and I think it is pretty easy for you to assume that someone is holding a light source. Someone or something is holding a light source that is kind of appearing in view and out of view with each of these windows on the third floor.
Okay. So is the party technically taking place on the second floor then?
Yes.
Okay. And there's 4 floors total. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
How did
All
we
right.
do the balloons? Wait, okay, Zoom experiment again. Is it a peace sign? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I was doing a list. The balloons seem to
Who
come out
knows?
of nowhere.
All right.
I can never tell.
Anyway.
Okay, great. So first floor bard, second floor party, third floor under some sort of surveillance, but Maddie told us that that's where some sort of important records are, but it may be being watched. And then there's also a 4th floor and the roof.
Yes. And the third floor, you were told, was where the offices of these 3 people are.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And those are what were their 3 roles again?
Yeah.
The magistrate, the dockmaster, and the
head of the Merchants Guild. Well done.
Okay.
So yeah, one more time, because I think you would have absorbed it. The dockmaster is a human woman named Usera Flint. The magistrate is a male human named Renee Michaud. And the guild head is an elf named Treminor Ravenwish.
Can you pop these in the
right.
Discord so I can remember elegantly?
I will pop them in our chat so Lizzie has them as well.
I've been taking notes, but it's going to be whatever my pronunciation spelling is of the thing,
Yeah,
which
totally.
is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So, friends, let's have a brief strategy session here. Do we go for the offices and try to find hard evidence, or do we try to find out the information via subterfuge by going in and ensconcing ourselves in the social interactions of this party? What seems like the better approach to you?
Well, so I could look like I'm a member of the party and I just smack myself in the chest and my outfit changes from my performance gear to like a very fancy, it's still always red and white and it's very fancy, and I go, and like I can look like a lot of people and I like smack myself and it goes to what looks like just I've taken off my makeup. I've still got red hair and I'm just like a little halfling boy looking thing. Or I can look like this and I smack myself again and I look like a shorter elven woman with dark hair, and I just start like basically cycling through a bunch of different looks and stuff. Like,
well, those are helpful skills for potentially seeking out some valuable information from the party goers themselves.
I do love
so
this about
that
you.
seems like a good approach.
thanks.
I am tempted to try to enter the offices separately, but it would also presumably be wise to stay together for as long as possible. Maybe we should try going in through the front door, or maybe the 2 of us could enter the party through the servants' entrance in the back, and we can connect with you while you're inside.
We could see if one of you guys could be my bodyguard, like the lady said. I mean,
unfortunately, I don't look
you don't look very tough, but Brig
bodyguard.
looks
Can you
very
hit
tough.
him?
Can I hit him? I could hit him. I mean, it's not going to do anything to his outfit, but I could hit him.
Well, we can always try and see what happens.
All right, I go to smack him.
Roll an unarmed attack. Tempo, make a dexterity save.
Does the fact that I have Tavern Brawler do anything for this?
Oh, I don't know. Does it?
I think I get +4 for it. Yeah, my unarmed attack it has a +4 on it.
It
so that's,
uses a D4 for damage.
it does.
Yeah. So your unarmed attack, I think, is still.
Oh no! If I like hit you with a chair, I'd get a +4.
Yes.
So it's just my hand,
Cool.
but it's still a 19.
My dex was an 11, so ow.
You definitely get slapped. And I think
see, it doesn't do anything.
No,
it just
bummer.
Tempo's normally blue skin, I think, just flushes like very slightly purple in the shape of a handprint for a moment.
I'm not sure why this was helpful or necessary. Should we be back to our plan?
I'm great at taking
Yes.
direction.
I do think it's wise if we slash these tires or break them in some way for these carriages. And she points to
We
the
haven't
carriages.
even entered the courtyard yet, have we? I think we're still casing the joint right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The line has decreased a little bit. There is still 3 of them, 3 carriages kind of waiting to check in, but 2 more have spread off and let their occupants into the party.
Okay, well, I'm tempted to just turn invisible and walk in through the back door and follow you around, Punchy, as you interact with people and see what sorts of information I can glean from the other conversations taking place. What about you?
Oh, I can be their bodyguard, and then I like disappear with my stealth.
Roll a stealth check.
21.
Yeah, I think, let me see. Yeah.
I love this.
You say this and then just flatten yourself against a wall nearby, and you notice that both Punchy and Tempo are looking at the wrong spot entirely.
That's a neat trick.
All right, then. So I suppose I will see you inside, although you probably won't be able to see me unless I want you to. So I'll tap you on the shoulder when I'm standing behind you.
Or you can just think it, and she says this in their heads.
Good point. I forgot about this disgusting metal bug.
That means that it's working. Like it started to set in and stuff.
Right. The chatter going on in your mind has somehow become less irritating.
Yeah, it's not sending you guys images, right? Like I hope it's not sending you images.
God forbid. That would be unpleasant.
It's all
to say the
very,
least.
very, kid friendly. Don't worry. It's I am a clown after all.
I'm sure it's completely appropriate.
Extremely kid friendly.
All
So
right, then.
if I was tracking that right, Punchy, you out now have the invitation. You are going in as the invited guest with Brig Ella as your bodyguard. And as the two of you begin crossing towards this little roundabout and taking your place, ready to go in, Tempo, you are going to...
I guess I'll just cast invisibility on myself, and I guess maybe I'll just follow them in through the front door.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Hopefully
just press up, like,
surveillance
real
doesn't
close
extend
to me.
beyond the 3rd floor. Yeah.
It'll be awkward for me, but I'll like try not to react. And the face that I decide on is like fairly nondescript, like brownish, blondish hair. Like I'm trying to not be too like obvious. It's humanoid ears and stuff because we're looking for like a bunch of humans and shit. And like slightly feminine features. Like I'm not trying to, I changed the structure of my face. I don't want anybody to know who I am.
Yeah, totally. So this newer persona of yours with an invisible person lockstep behind you. You feel them occasionally kick like your heel accidentally as they take slightly too much of a step. And your Brig, what does your performing outfit look like, or how are you presenting as the bodyguard as you all head inside?
It's green leather. Very sexy, very tight. Bodysuit. Plunging V-neck. And long legs.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's like a headband. That's
absolutely.
With a gold jewel.
You gotta.
Yeah, definitely. Visible weapons?
I have my daggers.
Okay, cool. So the three of you approach the entrance to City Hall. You see
Visible,
once again,
not
like
visible. Visible and not visible.
Yes, of course,
Obviously.
of course. You see a family of sea elves. They're sort of more distinctive, bluer tint to their skin, greener tint to their hair are being let in. They are focused on getting inside. They don't notice. However, the two guards waiting, you see one of them is a taller looking half orc who's kind of standing there with a pole arm, like a large glaive, and a smaller tabaxi, who gives you a look and then gives you a second look and then gives you a third look as his jaw sort of struggles to stay closed. And do you have an invitation?
Yes, darling, I have our invitation. This is just my lovely bodyguard.
Lovely. Yes. Excuse me. Yes, bodyguard. Just falling over himself, taking the invitation. This is very, very in order. I mean, yes, everything seems to be in order. We usually even bodyguards don't have weapons inside.
And I say, what weapons?
Don't worry, she's very well behaved.
And I wink, and my tail is just like very slowly flicking back and forth.
Either or both of you give me a persuasion with advantage. Punchy, go for it.
That's good.
10.
With advantage?
Oh, wait, with advantage.
Yeah.
Still not great.
I will roll.
It's 13.
Also.
Okay. Sure. Give it. Yeah.
14 or a 4. I got 14.
Okay. I think what happens is as he says this, you both have this like, oh, well, no, it's not really weapons. It's cultural. It's, my bodyguard really needs it. And this poor tabaxi just looks back and forth between the two of you for a moment. If you'll have a drink with me later, you can go in with your daggers. And the orc, you see the orc just like the biggest eye-rolling side eye as he doesn't move, but just slowly looks in that direction.
Punchy goes up and like runs a finger down his chest and goes, "Oh, darling, we'd love that."
I thought I was talking to the bodyguard, but suddenly, okay, just kind of starts hyperventilating a little bit as he hands you the invitation back. Have a nice time.
Punchy pulls him in and kisses him on the cheek before walking inside.
He is gonna roll a saving throw real quick. He turns bright red and like falls over backwards, and you see the magical field is strong enough. You see the little tweeting bluebirds animating above his head in circles, blowing little hearts into the air. Just blissful smile on his face. The orc kind of looks down and goes, "I'll take care of him. You folks have a good time."
Thank you, darling.
And the again, three of you begin making your way across the small sort of courtyard and lawn area towards the building. Is there anything that you would like to do besides just like up the staircase to the second floor, or any looking
Slash
closer,
those
anything?
Tires.
I think rather than speak, if you must have these tires slashed, the person who's invisible better be the one who does it. Although I guess, I don't know, if I start slashing tires, does that count as an attack? Because then I won't be invisible anymore.
No, I don't think it does.
Okay,
You're
right.
not like strictly speaking attacking something.
Right.
And also I think a wizard such as yourself, like there are like 5 carriages lined up, kind of 3 off to one side, 2 on the other. And they're pretty standard carriages. They're fancier. They look like they have some like decent leaf spring suspension. One of them
suspension too.
Like one of them has like
up.
fancier, nicer looking horses, but there's any number of mechanical ways to break them apart as well. And a wizard such as yourself would have any number of means of disabling them that is not
Right. Okay.
not
Well,
an
I
attack.
will go up to each one of them and do elegant and subtle sabotage in different ways.
Okay.
And then I'll think to the rest of my crew. I'm not sure this is strictly necessary, but, I always delight in messing with the gregariously wealthy.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Roll me a sleight of hand check, Tempo.
Seems reasonable. That's a 7.
It's not as quiet as you hoped as you make your way down the line, causing some mechanical difficulties for these things.
I picture springs.
Just like one just
squawking.
launches into the air and flies 20 feet, pings off of a fountain or a little piece of topiary that happens to be around. However, no one seems to have noticed. I am rolling terribly. That was a 6. As this is this takes a minute or two, but as this is happening, Punchy and Brig, are you, knowing that you are still in contact with your invisible companion, heading inside, or going to sort of linger for a moment to let them catch up with you?
Linger is,
Okay.
and like sort of is anybody else in the courtyard like scanning around, trying to like gauge the area?
Yeah, so the family of sea elves have not kind of like made their way fully. You see that they have kind of stopped a little ways up the staircase. There are, looks like, parents of slightly indeterminate gender in the way that elves do, as is in particular sort of their older generations, and 2 younger looking ones, both leaning more masculine in appearance. There's also, looks like the next carriage has kind of let off the people. As you look behind you, there's a tall Goliath who's just kind of like walking slowly but ponderously, if you will, from the gate towards you, looking less like you all have seen them around the islands, looking much less overt warrior and much more wealthy in a sort of indefinable way, but definitely not sort of like armor and weapons, but like sort of a longer flowing robe and a bit of a surcoat, and an elegant looking hat with a little feather. Where the stairs join the building, there is a bit of a balcony, and you see a few more people up there, more in the sort of like have already acquired a drink and are taking the air for a moment.
Friends, do you remember that the Merchant Guild's head, Treminor Ravenwish, is a sea elf? Maybe this is their family.
That's definitely a possibility.
Perhaps
we
you
go-
could extract some sort of information from them while I finish disabling these carriages.
Punchy walks up. Are they wearing anything like nice? Like what are they wearing?
They are the 2 elders are both wearing similar long kind of robe-ish things, somewhere between a robe and a dress. One of them is more in purples, the other one is more in blues, and the 2 younger-looking ones both have sort of a much more modern looking, like almost a suit, almost what we would call like a 3-piece suit looking thing, but a little bit more decoration than what we would be used to seeing, and also kind of in a much lighter sort of royal blue. The blues in the older elves' robes are kind of the dark, deep ocean blues.
Punchy would approach the younger ones and go, "Oh my goodness, darling, don't you look lovely tonight?"
They both turn to you and kind of as one, they both go, "Why, thank you. She was talking to me. They were talking to me." And there's like an immediate slight squabble.
You both look lovely. I'm curious, where did you get such a beautiful fabric?
Whoa, thank you. And they both just kind of turn towards you like full on into being adored in such a way. "Oh, well, there's a wonderful little shop in town, and they happen to have exotic fabrics from across the archipelago, and, well, we happen to be able to shop there with more frequency than others. These styles are very new, just from Sea Shallow."
I can tell You're making me feel a little bit embarrassed that I'm such an old biddy with my style.
Oh, no, darling. You look fabulous. You look fabulous.
Stop
Wonderful. And your companion.
Oh, I know. Isn't
I
she
side-eye
lovely?
them. And my ears kind of like twitch. Yes.
Well, also, you look amazing. If you wouldn't mind the compliment, I suppose.
You may.
Oh, and I don't know if I recognize you. What brings you to the City Hall ball tonight?
I mean, it's a ball, darling. Does one
is.
need another reason?
Does one need reasons to avoid political hacks and pundits and all sorts of... They start raising their voice and kind of like looking over, and you see the two older elves like both roll their eyes and like look at each other. The one in purple starts walking up the stairs, and the one in blue comes over. I see that my children are entertaining, as they always are.
Well, yes, darling. I love a little bit of gossip.
I'd like to perceive which one actually has, like, who in this group actually has the highest status.
Roll an insight check.
My name is Mariah Glovehook. What's yours, darling?
Mariah, well, it is a pleasure to meet you. They extend a hand and take yours, and it's that sort of like, it's not a handshake as much as kind of taking your fingers and lightly pressing them.
Mm-hmm. I do one of these.
Paw.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 25, by the way.
This one who has remained to talk to you seems to be the head of the family. And you see like familial resemblance as they get closer between the two younger ones who've been speaking to you, and this one, and even like catching a little bit of the one in purple as they leave. My name is Traminor Ravenwish. It's a pleasure to meet you, miss.
Pleasure to meet you, Traminor.
Yes, and
I think on the broadcast, gotcha.
well, I'm
Excellent work, friends. I'm almost done disabling these carriages, so pump them for as much information as you can, and we'll proceed.
Well, so
I'd like to
Traminor,
understand. Oh, yes, please.
I was just going to ask what brings you here.
Well, you must not be from around if you wouldn't know, but I am in fact the head of our local merchants guild, and thus required to put in an appearance at city functions like this. And I was on my way inside if you'd like to join us for a drink.
Oh, I would love to. But the head of the merchants guild, don't we feel so special this evening?
Oh, my importance is highly overstated. I simply facilitate and provide a bit of direction, advice, so on and so forth as I can. He kind of offers an arm and turns to begin heading up the stairs.
I go to like fix my shoe, sort of thing. Like I'm just like buying fucking time. One moment, darling. Like a lady must look her best.
My lovely wife says the same thing. Very
Oh,
frequently.
what's her name?
Well, her name is Sylvia, if you must know. Sylvia Ravenwish.
She must be gorgeous, given your delightful children.
Oh, well, that's quite kind of you to say. It is indeed. I think she is, but then what do I know, having been married to her for only 300 years? Give it
Well,
take.
you're practically spring chickens.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it.
Hurry the fuck up! Hurry the fuck up! This guy's trying to take me inside. I can't fucking stall much longer.
Tempo,
Yeah.
you've had enough time by this point. You're like finishing up on the last carriage.
Okay, great. Head in, and I mean, I don't see any reason why you can't have a drink with him and find out what he knows about this, his relationship to the Harbingers. He may be the one funding them, so see what you can find. Maybe not directly from him, but from his children, for instance.
Always pump the kids. Lead the way, darling.
Very well. So you find yourself ascending the stairs on the arm of the head of the Merchants Guild. This does attract some small amount of attention as you reach the top of the stairs. You see the few people on the balcony. Everyone sort of notes not only that the Sylvia in purple had arrived before you, but then that the head of the Merchants Guild arrives with a stranger on his arm, children in tow, and there's a couple head turns. So there's this little balcony up here. A couple seats arranged, but the main doors of the city hall have been flung wide open. And from it, as you ascend the staircase, you hear music, illusions, dancing in the air, lights, various different pieces of illumination and trickery providing entertainment. A couple wandering, you see like a living statue in one corner of the main room, moves very, very slightly to clock your entrance. And in another corner, there's a juggler. Off to one side, you see a little burst of flame as someone spits fire. And
how good are these performances?
Do we know them?
Roll a history check for me.
So
No.
Okay. So you, the two of you, and the three of you, as Tempo, you eventually kind of catch up and see this as well. You know that it's like, this is corporate circus, right? This is the equivalent of the audience going nuts whenever someone on Aerial Silks does a fucking split. So the three of you, you're like, oh, that juggler is doing like his easiest tricks. And the fire breath, that was all right. It like wasn't, we've seen bigger. In fact, you've probably even done bigger. It's like, it's not
We've
good tricks.
Bigger.
It's sustainable tricks. You've done way bigger. But it's the kind of performance that you can sustain for multiple hours of walk around. It's nothing special. And although you kind of like they're even in makeup, you'd think you'd know them, but nothing about them is really ringing a bell as to a performer that you would recognize.
Look at these fucking sellouts. Oh, what a delightful display.
Oh, don't you think so? It's so much better than that shabby little tent on the other side of the island.
Don't say anything. Agree.
Let's get a drink.
Yes, of course, right this way. Begins leading you across. So the sort of main rotunda is wide open, and this is the most decorated and populated area. There's a dance floor in the center that has been created of enough open space that several couples are, and even trios are dancing, formalized social dances. There is a bar kind of along one wall, and then the other doors kind of to the two side wings are also opened. And you see down one looks like a little more kind of like something sort of a buffet table, food section, and the other one seems to be gaming tables of some kind. But the main bar is right here in the center, and you all approach it, and you see a tall furbolg who is behind the bar mixing drinks, looks over, and you happen to catch him at a free moment, turns over. Yes, what can I get for all of you tonight? We have many fine drinks.
What's on offer? What's your favorite drink?
Mine? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm quite fond of a little mushroom liqueur from the far southern isles, but it's not for everyone's taste. Many people here are drinking the usual varieties of elven wine. We do have a particularly fine seaweed ale as well, for those who prefer something a little bit more refreshing, as it were.
Oh, Tramanor, are you going to go for the seaweed ale?
Oh, good heavens, no. I have the bottle beneath the bar, if you please. And the bartender kind of looks at him and nods, goes under the bar and pulls up a like antique bottle that looks like it might have sat at the bottom of the ocean for about 100 years, uncorks it, and the smell that emerges is there's the faintest vinegar, but mostly it's sort of this redolent of fruits and a bit of sea brine and salt, something almost indescribable, like the smell of rain or smell of earth after rain, and begins pouring into a fine crystal goblet, this pale golden, somewhere between wine and brandy is what it looks like. I suppose I could also share, if you wish, a second glass for my new friend. And bartender nods, puts the second glass, and begins pouring.
Why, thank you, darling. It smells delicious.
It's my family's vineyards. Well, vineyards and undersea holdings. They've been in the family for quite a long time. And this, if I'm not mistaken, 140, 150-year vintage, something of that nature. You lose count after the first century or so.
Lose count. Goodness gracious.
He holds up a glass to you and clinks.
Clink.
While all this is going on, I'm going to follow the children and listen to their conversation.
Okay. Roll me stealth with advantage as you're invisible and a perception, please.
All right. We have got for stealth a dirty 20, and the perception is a 7.
Okay. So we, for a moment, we zoom over to invisible Tempo as you follow these two younger elves. They immediately upon entering head kind of for the gaming tables. And you see them just kind of sit down, slumping into chairs on either side of a backgammon table. With a 7, I think you're just not quite able to get close enough to them to really hear. There is sort of traffic and movement around them. There's not really a good place for an invisible body to just hover. But you do hear there's a bit of back and forth, and you catch a few other words. There's sort of this like, oh, daddy never lets me do anything. Why do we have to be here anyway? And I'm so tired of him talk about the good old days and how terrible every other people and species are. Do you remember how angry he got when you were dating that dwarf? Do you remember how angry he got when you dated that lizard folk? And a few more things in that vein.
All right. I'll just beam to my friends. They're keep pursuing this Traminor. He seems to have values aligned with the Harbingers, these speciesist monstrosities.
Do we need solid proof or simply to collect this knowledge?
Well, I'm sure that Maddie would appreciate all the hard evidence we can get. And I plan to go upstairs to the offices soon enough, but it'll help if we can find the hard evidence. It'll help to find the hard evidence if we know exactly where to look first.
Hey, Brig, are you going to go by Brig? Or do you have like a side name that I should call you?
Brig, Ella, darling,
Brig,
you've
Ella,
called me everything.
Ella Brig.
Right. I haven't called you your name like in front of these people. I've just been calling you darling. Okay.
Oh, I mean, you can call me Cleo. How about that?
Cleo, darling, why don't you make a round? I just want to make sure I'm safe.
And I nod demurely.
Lovely.
I think, yeah. So you head into the crowd then.
And I disappear.
Slinking away silently into the crowd.
Hello, fellow tradespeople. This is Ben. I hope you are enjoying this podcast as much as we are. If you are, please leave us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you are listening on. Also, go ahead and follow us on social media at The Roll Report Cast. If you are feeling especially supportive and fancy and delightful, you can also support us on Patreon, which we would really love and appreciate. And you get all kinds of really fancy special bonus perks for doing that. All right, back to the show.
So let's see. Tempo, you are in the gaming wing. You are kind of nearby the two younger elves. Have been heard them talking over their parents, reminiscing about the old days and how they've complained every time the children dated someone of another species. Brigella, you have just split off from Punchy and the head of the Merchants Guild. And left them to their drink. And Punchy, you and Traminor are still here with this very fine, very old elven wine from his family's vineyard. And I think, Brigella, I think I'm going to come to you first as you make this lap of the room, so to speak, to make sure your imaginary employer is safe. Where are you headed? What are you doing?
I want to see if I can find either the dockmaster or the magistrate, because they might all be also part of the thing.
Make either a perception or investigation, your choice.
Perception.
Okay.
23.
Yeah, you split off and begin sort of heading, doing kind of a casual loop of this main rotunda space. And as you near the other wing, the one that goes kind of towards a banquet table, heavily laden with food, sort of buffet situation, you see a small knot of people. I think it is, for you, it is... it's pretty clear they're all, if they're not the captain of a ship, they have something to do with ships. There is the sort of naval style of boots and a long coat that flares a little bit. You see at least one very fancy-looking rapier kind of attached to one hip, a couple hats with feathers. And there's a circle has kind of formed around or near a tall, elegantly dressed human woman with darker skin and long curled hair that's in this moment has kind of been braided and piled up onto her head. And as you... Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to know what they're talking about. Like, what am I hearing?
Yeah. So you kind of catch the end. One of these what seems to be a ship captain has kind of said this, like, well, what are you going to do about all of this then? And, it's coming out of our own pockets and coming out of yours as well. And she kind of just turns coolly, this very ice cold glance on this person and just goes, now, I think we all understand that this is hurting everyone's business interests, not only yours, who can simply walk away from it, but those of us that are stuck here on the island as well. And I would assure you that I have the matter fully in hand and am turning my own resources towards the satisfactory conclusions. Now, if that is not enough to satisfy you, perhaps my personal guarantee that your cargo will make it to its intended destination. And the captain sort of stares for a minute and just grunts and turns away and leaves, peeling off kind of two of the people with him. They're all sort of similarly dressed, leaving this one woman behind and two other figures. There is a green dragonborn, rather short, unusually for his species, and an elf, wood or other elf, not kind of with the tint and coloration of a sea elf. Both of them kind of with these. One has kind of a tricorn hat. One is where it's more. I don't know what the style is, but the one is like one side goes up and then there's like a flat brim and like a little round top and another big plume of a feather reaching behind it. And the woman kind of turns to both of them, just goes, now, captains, you both know me, and you have for some time, and you know that when your ships enter my harbor, there are certain things that we have come to expect from each other, and those will not change, whatever may happen with these other matters. And so that's what's going on as you sort of approach.
I am going to continue to be stealthy and just...
Okay. Make a stealth check for me. And you're not like directly hiding as much as trying to blend into the movement of the crowd, but stay close to this person. Yeah.
20. Dirty 20.
Yeah. Easily. There are, there's enough of traffic flow kind of going in and out of this room and milling about the tables that you are able to sort of attach yourself fairly close to this person and remain within earshot. What I'd say is over the next moment or two, make an insight check as well as you listen.
What? Dirty 21 or 21.
Okay. So over the next minute or two, it becomes clear to you that one, this woman is the dockmaster, Sarah Flint. Refers to her docks, definitely seems to be in charge and seems to have a strong air of authority and almost be talking down to these captains a little bit. What you pick up on is there obviously something shady and illegal is happening. It's not as much, people dying and being murdered on the streets as much as like there's this sort of intimations of cargo going to its intended destination or its actual destination. There is fee collection. As she moves through the room, you see more people, almost always talking to people that do seem to have, something, the air of the sea around them, if you will. But people that are attired in similar fashions. And occasionally you see a small pouch of coin exchange hands in either coming to her or from her to these people that she encounters on the way. And nothing that she has done or said in the brief time that you've kind of been observing gives you the red flags, if you will, of cult affiliation as much as the generalized corruption and illegality that you know very well from being a part of the circus, and that sort of attaches itself to docks. This is just, this is a problem everywhere. There's not always a way to really monitor everyone coming in and out, every cargo coming in and out, and this woman seems to be taking full advantage of that to enrich herself. And so as you follow Lucera around a little bit, I'm going to come back to Tempo. In the other room, in the gaming room, you have observed the two children of Tramanor Ravenwish for a little while. And what are you doing? And to remind everyone, including myself, you do have telepathy through the Spy's Murmur while you remain within a mile.
So I'm just gonna, having heard what Brigella has gleaned from the conversation overheard with Sarah, I'm gonna think to my friends, friends, I am going to proceed upstairs and see if I can find some hard evidence. Right now, our best lead is that the children of Tramanor have indicated values aligned with the Harbingers. So I'm going to go upstairs and start searching those offices. But if you find any other good evidence that might lead me in a better direction, please let me know immediately. So then I'm gonna walk. I assume there's an obvious path upstairs. What I'm gonna do is just go look around, see whether that path, the entrance to the upstairs and the stairwell is guarded.
Sure. So there is, you see a couple options. Down kind of at the end of this hall, it looks like there's a staircase kind of like, far end of the wing that does go up and down. Does not appear to be guarded. There's just sort of like a velvet rope has been placed across it, and most people seem to be avoiding it anyway. And taking a quick look back into the main rotunda, it looks like there is spiral staircases that hug the wall on each side and kind of go to a landing on the second floor. Roll me a perception check.
All right.
You do see little velvet ropes and stanchions are blocking them off.
Oh, that is a nat 20, baby, 22.
There, beside each of those staircases in the main rotunda, you don't see anyone like this at the end of the sort of the gaming hall, as it were. But right, sort of unobtrusive, but standing right next to those stanchions and those staircases, you spot almost identical large bugbears wearing mostly kind of it's black, but it's elegant, so they don't stand out as much as you'd think. It's not like black leather. but
An
it is
unassuming
like
bugbear then.
and unassuming. This is a fairly cosmopolitan party. There are people from almost every species represented, and great varieties of shape and size. So it's not uncommon for them to just be there. But what draws your attention is that they're all in black. You even see one of them has a hint of something metal in one ear. And they're just, rather than, other people dressed in black are sort of mingling and talking, each of them is just sort of like casually leaning against the wall right next to these staircases and not speaking to anyone.
Okay, great. I will head up the back stairs then and try to gain access to the third floor via that route.
You slip over the velvet rope without disturbing it and find your way upstairs. Roll an investigation check for me, please.
Right? I am investigating. Oh, that's an 11.
Okay. So with an 11, I think what I'm going to say is you have found yourself, unfortunately, at the wrong end of this hall. It's not that these are difficult to find. You see on either side of you are these sort of doors with sort of frosted glass and an engraved name across it. There's usually a name and a title. And you have found yourself at the end of this, like all of the clerks. It's like all the people that do the grunt work. And so you have to, you realize this, but it takes you a minute or three to get all the way to the other side of the building, where you find the offices that say, there's the mayor's office, there is the, head of the temple, and then you see a series of doors. It's like kind of two on your left, one on your right, and there is Chief Magistrate Renee Michaud, Dockmaster Ysera Flint, and head of the Merchants Guild Tramanor Ravenwish. And in these few minutes it takes you to get down to that end, I'm going to come back to Punchy back down in the ballroom. So Punchy, you sent Brig off on a little lap. Meanwhile,
I sort of direct away from the bar in almost like a like my shoulder shruggy way, and I don't mean to be rude, but isn't it a bit strange that they'd let someone like him bartend?
There's really no accounting for taste anymore, for traditions. It is, I don't like to get started in a place like this. And he sort of stiffens a little bit and takes a sip of his drink.
I am so grateful you agree. For some reason, everyone thinks I'm so mean these days. You just can't speak your mind at any function.
Roll, I would say performance or deception as you begin this train of conversation.
Ooh, not my best. It's am I more deceptive?
No, it's the same. It's 11.
Okay. He looks at you and just kind of raises an eyebrow. You're one of those people that the All Island Alliance is trying to get me to say something embarrassing for, Bubble or something like that? Some dreadful newfangled invention. Who are you?
A what? What? A bubble?
My dear, you don't get to be as old as I have and live as long in this business without learning to read at least a little bit of something of the people you encounter. And you, whatever it is, you certainly have no quarrel with the bartender or anything about this party. So what is it that you're after?
Busted.
Well, darling. And I start petting on his chest a little bit and go, you do appear to have quite delightful taste. And Daddy's threatening to cut me off.
Amazing.
Just lean into the bit. That's what you got to do. Just commit to the bit.
He leans back just slightly from there. So it's money. You need money. There's any number of bankers, any number of other rich individuals, and yet you're here trying to get money from me.
It's not just money, darling.
No? What else then?
I continue to sort of stroke his chest and go, well, you see, I'm a woman of very specific tastes. And I don't just want to go to a bank or anything. I love gifts. And you look like you pick out beautiful gifts.
Roll me another, I would say, I get any of the charisma, I guess, persuasion, performance, or deception. You are somewhere on the spectrum of all three of those right now.
They're all the same, so
Okay.
It's a 19.
All right.
Treminor rolls a natural 1.
Yes, I got him hard.
He looks down. he
Wait,
looks.
you got
he
him
looks-
hard or you got him hard?
He looks down at your hand. You look down and follow your gaze further down, and you see just a little bit of tenting at his robe. And he just goes, all right, well,
And I'm
I do-
very discreet, darling.
I should certainly hope so.
So
It's-
discreet doing this in the middle of a big party.
He just looks around. No, he's, dance floor. Everyone's doing their own thing. Music's playing. There's still a wizard sending illusions. Right at this opportune moment, of course, someone breathes another giant fireball. There's a woo! But he looks down and puts his hand over yours and just goes, well, this is a conversation that I think we should resume after the party. I will send my family home, and perhaps you can meet me in my office.
Oh, I'd love
Yes.
that. Where is it?
It's on the 3rd floor, and, well, all right. He slips his other hand kind of it's the awkward, move the tail, the hem of the robe, skirt situation, find a pocket underneath it, extract something, and he presses into your hand a small, ornate brass key.
Yes. Punchy, as they're taking it, licks the rim of the glass before taking it. Goes, I'll see you soon, darling.
Roll me an insight check as he once again kind of takes your other hand, kisses it, and lets you leave.
Who punches distracted? 8.
Still better than his. He is really disconcerted in the way you were hoping for. Very clearly distracted right now. He's got this kind of looking around. You see him catch sight of his wife in purple and then immediately turn the other way and begin heading towards the buffet and the food. So Punchy, you have the key, and he is kind of peeling off.
I also do a really sexy walk as I walk away. I'm not officially in heels, but I do a little extra
Oh, you look behind to see the effect, and he has definitely stopped dead and turned to look at you and is visibly trying to control his jaw.
Hey guys, I fucking got a key.
Well done.
Excellent work. I'm already upstairs and trying to find my way into Traminor's office, but the key would mean that I could be much more subtle in entering.
Yeah, he gave me a key so I could blow him later.
Well, that will save me from having to blow up his door.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not subtle at all. So Punchy skips upstairs.
Yeah. How are you trying to get upstairs? Let me pose that question to you first.
You may want to use the back stairs, my friend. The front ones appeared to be subtly but very certainly guarded by some rather oversized owlbears.
Copy that. So I do like I got up on a couple of the stairs and I do like I didn't mean it. And like
You see a bugbear in a black suit has like turned towards you and is reaching and then just kind of like watches you walk back. And then
I wave at him.
hi.
Hello, darling.
Upstairs is closed, ma'am. Okay. And fades back to his post.
I do a little like giggle too, like
Amazing.
Punch's just having a great time.
Punchy's having a great time, meeting all the nicest people, drinking the best booze.
Booze is medium, is a bit salty.
Fair. Brigella, to come back to you for a moment. Punchy, I only posed the last question. Are you making your way? I think you would have seen Brigella go towards kind of the buffet table food, which also is where Tramanor went. Are you heading to the gaming table the other side?
Gaming table, wherever's the back door. Punchy digs a back door.
Cool. Who doesn't really? So Brigella, you've been casually following Lucera around the food hall a little bit as she mingles and converses. Hearing this in your spy's murmur, what would you like to do?
Have I gathered any more information on her in this time?
Roll let's say an investigation check.
A 10.
Nothing much. It's been more the same. There was even, I think with a 10, there was a moment when she like paused and like looked over her shoulder and you managed to perfectly adjust to stay in her blind spot, but she definitely almost caught you and seems to be slightly more guarded in her words at this point. So you've kind of gathered just she seems to have her fingers in the general illicit nature of a dock by being the virtue of being the dock master and definitely out for money to enrich herself is what you have gathered so far.
And have I noticed any the magistrate?
With a 10, I'm going to say no. I'll let
okay.
Yeah, not yet.
I think I would like to move on from this lady and look for him.
Okay.
Actively.
Roll a perception check.
That's what I wanted to hear. 19.
Yeah. Wow, you are rolling hot, Kaya.
You make your way back out to the main rotunda. You catch just the last kind of glimpse of Punchy in their current persona heading towards the stairs of the gaming hall. And you're kind of drawn back towards a tall-ish human man who's just kind of like leaning on the bar. Seems to just kind of be glaring at nothing. Has a drink in one hand, but just sort of like leaning on one the other hand and like staring kind of at nothing. You see the bartender sort of like approaches and he just turns his head just enough to glare and the bartender backs away. And he is wearing, you have traveled around. There is not a universal magistrate official attire, but he is wearing kind of the black and white, more robe-like things that you would associate with someone who is of the legal profession of our world.
I would like to perch on the bar or like at a cute seat and like be as coy and nonchalant and like order a drink while creating space for him to either approach or for me to observe more.
Okay. Roll me an insight check as you do this.
20.
Oh my God. That
30.
rolls off the charts.
Brigella is crushing it tonight. Brigella, you slink over, cat-like, towards the bar, perch on a stool with your legs elegantly crossed. As you look behind you, you notice you have turned a few heads that were either on the dance floor or around the edges of this rotunda, a couple admiring glances, and even from one rather drunken corner, a wolf whistle. The bartender sees you, brings over a drink, and you see this person kind of look at you out of the corner of one eye and then turn his head a little bit more fully towards you. And let's roll real quick. Oh, yeah. You see him kind of take in your whole appearance and attitude for a moment, like full head to toe, up, down look. And he is unable to keep this like sneer off of his face that is, you haven't seen this kind of a look directed at you in like a very, very long time. It is a combination of just sheer disgust and like a deeply held, simmering, almost boiling over pot of anger. And with a 20 and his, again, natural 1, it's not that he's disgusted or angry that you have kind of, you're more blatantly propositioning with body language and not upset that you are, there with significantly more fur showing than any other tabaxi in the room or any other person in the room. Most of the people here are dressed much more conservatively, except for the couple acrobats. It is absolutely, for him in this moment, cannot believe that a tabaxi is propositioning a human and finds it fucking horrible.
I take that in.
And he just like, it gets this like really, and then turns away. And you see him like not go back to staring straight in front of him. He just like turns himself another like 45 degrees. So he is angled away from you.
And then I think to our friends, I think we have enough information to confirm that this vermin is part of the beings we're looking for.
Confirmed. We will certainly search his office as well. This Rene Michaud.
And meanwhile, yes,
I
go
would
ahead.
like to do one more thing.
Yes.
Since he's like actively ignoring me, I would like to create a distraction and then pickpocket him.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
For his-
What distraction are you attempting to create?
Well, I have these performance knives.
You
So
do?
I'm going to cause a light to shatter in an opposite direction.
So you want to kind of like throw past him so it's already sort of where he's looking and he keeps focused in that direction. Okay. Yeah, give me an attack roll with your daggers, I guess.
Is that just like a 20?
Yeah, +6 for you.
Man, this tabaxi's got skills. Oh.
Okay, wait. So I am lucky, and I have 3 lucky things, and I can give my nat 1 to my opponent, and I would like to do that.
Oh.
I read the rules right before this.
I'm sorry. What is this?
So I have luck as one of my feats or whatever. And one of the things you can do with luck is you can give your roll to your opponent.
So
that is a different feat. You have lucky. So you have 3 luck points.
Yes.
You yourself can re-roll a attack point. Okay. So I see the thing you're talking about. You can spend a luck point if an attack roll is made against you.
Oh, it's an attack roll. Okay.
And then you can do that. Okay. So what you can do with lucky is you can re-roll that attack. You can roll it so it will not be a 7. Yeah.
Take 2.
Oh, so that's a 7 + 6. So it would be a 13,
so it would be
actually.
It would be a 13. Do you want to use a luck point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
13 again.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
2-7. So I think what happens is you pull a knife, like one, light kind of shines off it, the metal's shiny. These are performance ones. They're designed to catch light, not be sort of obscured. It definitely draws a little bit of attention. The bartender looks over from where they're polishing a glass and just starts going, I can cut something limes if you need them. And you throw this knife. I think with a 13, you neatly slice the top of this guy's ear, and it keeps going and then embeds itself in a potted plant nearby. Definitely not the exact thing that you were trying to hit.
Never
and
done
he
so
immediately
terribly.
just claps his hand to his ear and turns around and starts looking for where this came from. Roll a deception check.
Dirty 20.
Okay.
All right.
You just a wide, innocent eyes, have no idea where it comes from. He leaps off of his chair, still holding his ear, and you see him just start wading into the crowd, grabbing people's hands, looking for knives. And you hear this, who threw a knife? What the fuck? Someone just threw a knife. You see my ear? Does this look like I'm fucking joking? And off into the thing.
I would like to follow him like a fangirl, because I've already flirted with him, and pretend to be whatever, and then do a sleight of hand.
You start following him into the crowd, and we return to the upper floor. Tempo, you've been up here for a moment. Roll a perception check for me.
Okay. Oh, that ends up as a 7.
Okay. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. After a moment or 3 goes by, and there's a brief telepathic exchange from the far end of the hall, you hear... Punchy, how loud are you being on the stairs?
I'm trying to be as quiet as possible.
You are muted, or something happened. I couldn't hear you for a moment.
I'm
There we
mute
go.
in case of dog.
Fair.
I am sneaking.
Okay. Roll a stealth check for me, please.
That is 21.
You, Tempo, you look around. You're like, man, I feel like Punchy should have been up here by now. It was a solid minute and a half ago I got the thing. You turn around and Punchy, they're just looming over you as you're kind of kneeling by the door. Just standing there, kind of waving and holding the key.
Punchy, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get that door open as quickly as possible. I have heard from our friend Brigella that maybe searching Renee Michaud's office may be in order too, but I imagine since all these office doors are locked, it would behoove us to search Traminor's office first, and only need to break into Michaud's if absolutely necessary. Furthermore, I don't know how long we have until Traminor plans to meet you up here, so let's go search that office.
He's got to get rid of his family. It's going to be a bit... where are you? I just start patting the air, because you're still invisible, right? So I'm just trying to hit you.
Yeah. You as you pat the air, graze my shoulder, and I drop invisibility and gesture towards the lock.
Okay, I unlock it, but I'm actually pretty good at picking them. So why don't we do two birds, one
great.
stone?
I'll search this room while you start picking the lock of Renee Michaud's office. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did someone say picking locks? I can do what? And then I realized I shouldn't be looking for. And I come
great.
join.
So I will enter Traminor's office and begin an investigation for any, are there file cabinets, desk drawers?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Roll me an investigation.
Okay, great. I for small scale investigation within a foot, I have advantage.
Okay.
But I still only got a 12. Wow. Man. Kaya's got all my good rolls tonight.
Also, Punchy, as you unlock Traminor's office, you feel a second set of tumblers fall into place, and a little like a sort of telltale little mechanical click of something being deactivated. And then the door opens easily as you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So inside, you both see there is, these sort of the windows that you can immediately see look out towards the harbor itself, an expansive view of the sea and kind of out towards the rest of the archipelago. There is a large desk, of course, with that the person at the desk will be seated with their back to the window. Off to one side, there is a large, plush, extremely soft couch, oversized couch, naturally.
Am I not the first person he's done this with?
And there are kind of like a few filing cabinets and a bookshelf lined with books. So you take all this in quickly, and then Punchy, you move on to Renee Michaud's office. Tempo with a 12, it's kind of a first flurry of just like, what is obvious, what is around, what can I find here, and that turns up not much. Your first minute or so in this room is just kind of the obvious papers on the desk. All seem to have, there's the minutes of the last 4 months of Merchants Guild meetings, tedious layers of documents of paper that just list, who said what and who agreed to what and what were our new trading routes discovered. The openable drawers of the desk, one has kind of like a collection of quills and ink and like a little penknife to kind of sharpen them. One has a different stack of paperwork that seems to be all around the Merchants Guild, like inner procedures and elections for new guild heads. And the other desk drawer seems to just kind of have knickknacks and you find like a little stash of like seaweed biscuits and like little snacks like that. So that is, in your first immediate moment, that's all that you find there. Punchy, you head over to Renee Michaud's office. You see kind of the same nice little door, says Magistrate, and I guess roll me Thieves' Tools.
Wait, before I do that, I'm going to...
Yeah.
Can I like check for traps kind of thing?
Yes, make an investigation.
It's not good. It's a 5.
It's locked, but seems like it's not trapped.
Hey, Brick, are you coming up?
And then I show up. I like get out of my stealth.
Absolutely. Yeah. You were well hidden. It's easy enough for you to make your way up here. You appear from the shadows next to Punchy.
Okay, so there was like this weird clicking motion thing. I think this might be a bit out of my depth, but check this out. And I juggle in front of her real quick and then do like a behind the back thing and cast inspiration just in case. So you have a D6 now to add to this check.
Amazing. I don't admire your juggling skills, and if you ever wanted to practice juggling knives with me, we could create our own act.
Oh my God, I love juggling knives. Anything dangerous.
With me instead of Slappy.
Okay, well, let's not get crazy. Slappy and I have been in act for years. Like we're a team. So
big sigh.
Let's discuss it after we get through this door.
And I do what?
So if you're looking for traps
insight?
first, investigation.
Not so good investigating. Plus a D6, plus a 6.
If you want to, you can also, that lasts for 10 minutes. So if you don't want to use that now, I mean, seems like it's not trapped. Definitely locked though.
I'd like to use my last lucky.
Okay.
We're doing investigation. That's a 15 plus a D6. Unless I don't need that for like, is 15 good enough? 15's good enough.
I mean, yeah, it does not seem to be trapped. It is locked.
Okay. I get my thieves' tools out.
Okay.
And I use my skill.
Yeah. Do you have expertise in that? You do not. Okay. So be the same as your sleight of hand, a +6.
I moved down the hallway a bit to kind of like keep an ear out for anything in case I got to
Sure.
like,
17.
pull some shit.
17. It takes you a couple moments, but finally
Embarrassingly.
one tumbler clicks, second one clicks, and you twist the lock and unlock it. Punchy, make a perception check for me.
10.
Seems like you're all alone up here.
Great. I drink more of my fucking weird drink.
It is like the taste has done the opposite of grow on you. Like it's gotten less interesting and worse as you drink more of it, and also discovering that Traminor is kind of an asshole. So Brigella, you open this door. Very similar to as described, there is kind of a small bookshelf on one side of the room, a desk that's not quite so big, and just sort of like a couple chairs in front of the desk. Notably, no like large couch in this room.
I'd like to investigate for secret drawers, like tap.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Uh,
It would be investigation again.
Hey,
no
should I
insight?
just like stay out here in case people come up and I'll just be a problem?
Yes.
Okay.
Not a bad
No,
idea.
actually, I think we need your skills because I got a 3.
Doesn't seem like there's anything secret about this room. The bookshelves on the walls are kind of these large leather-bound books. Most of them have various legal doctrines. There is, maritime law of the archipelago, dated 300 to 400 AV. There is kind of like annals of the Tridenton Legal Society, this sort of
I
thing
start
on the
like
bookshelves.
pulling books to see if like any of them like turn the wall into a door.
They just the pages ruffle a little bit. Like finally, you just like start throwing them onto the floor. Nothing happens.
Okay. I open the obvious drawers that are not secret.
Similar to Tempo, there's not a lot that is of interest here. You find some legal papers. Seems like on the top of his desk, he's working on a summary of some sort of case involving a ship cargo that was seized for being illegally purchased on a different island. Again, the desk drawers, there's kind of like the one that is the pens and quills and ink. There is one that is more of like his personal files. And a quick glance through them, it seems to be loosely written pages of a memoir about how good of a magistrate he is.
Big eye roll.
Yeah.
What am I? Can I do like a perception roll?
Let me come back.
Okay.
We'll come back to your office in a moment. Tempo, let's come back to you in Treminor's office.
Okay, I am gonna go ahead and investigate the file cabinets and the bookshelves to see if I can find anything, any locked drawers or anything like that.
Yeah. Roll me another investigation.
All right, doing so with it. Oh, never mind. That's a nat 20, baby. 27.
Fuck yes. So, after the first flurry of activity around this room, you slow down, force yourself to take a moment, take a breath, and begin a slightly more systematic approach. The bookshelves quickly reveal themselves to be a bit of a lost cause. There is nothing that seems to be out of the ordinary, really. There is, you do find, so there's a couple philosophers over the 430 odd years since the visit, which was kind of the large event that precipitated interspecies harmony, if you will. It was when the gods appeared and told everyone, like, hey, even though you look the same or look different, you're all the same. You're all our children. But there have been various philosophers over that 430 years that have argued that this was all a conceit of the trickster, that everyone's had the wool pulled over their eyes. And the actual purpose of the visit was, lulling everyone into a false sense of security. And really, the isolationism and xenophobia that was prevalent before that is what the gods intended and how we should all be living to promote competition, essentially. It is like that. It's this idea that competition is good and kind of sticking to your own kind is good. And you do notice a couple of those philosophers present on these bookshelves, like their most well-known work. There's a very well-known, famous dragonborn philosopher from about 250 years ago who wrote, on the subject of species. And it is a very well-known, seriously xenophobic and speciesist tome, and it is on his bookshelf. You move back to the desk and you realize that the drawer that holds pen and ink and so on is not the right shape for the rest of the desk. And with a quick search, you realize that the very back of it, underneath a couple of inkwells, does in fact lift up and reveal a hidden layer to this drawer. As you reach in, you pull out a leather-bound book, and opening it, you see that this is a detailed, painstaking ledger of all of the transactions that Tramanor wouldn't want anyone else to see. You see his purchase of these isolationist philosopher books from rare booksellers across the archipelago, a careful note of where they're located, how much money he sent, what condition the book was in when it arrived. There are his donations to political parties on various democratic islands. Not every island in the archipelago has a similar government, but those that do elect their leaders, you see that he has contributed large sums of money to the most xenophobic of those elected candidates. Whether or not they became elected, unclear based on his note taking, but who he gave money to, he's made a note of sort of why and what's going on. And you flip through a few pages, see more of this, and you start seeing a name more and more. And the name is Theobald.
Oh, Theobald.
And you see that this is heading to the city of Uthon, which is on the human-dominated or the human origin island. And you finally see he's kind of at a certain point stopped indicating Theobald, and the entry just says X amount of gold, Harbinger. And there are a large number of these. And in fact, this seems to be his most frequent source of expenditures in this ledger over the last 6 months.
Okay, great. I grab my earpiece and say, friends, I have the evidence that Maddie is looking for. It's time for us to get out of here before we are caught in the act. So scramble down the back stairs. I'll meet you there.
I would like to see if human xenophobe also is involved before we, if you'd like to come help me look, or
I think this is all the information we need. We've got to get out of here before we're found out.
The magistrate, get in the magistrate's office because we don't. He ain't coming up here. I'll distract him if he does. Don't worry. You're way better at investigating.
So I'll close the drawer and make everything look as undisturbed as possible. I'll obviously take the ledger, the book with all the evidence, and I'll meet my compatriots in the magistrate's office.
Punchy and Tempo, will you both make a perception check as you just close the door, attempt to lock it behind you, scurry across the hall towards the magistrates, Punchy joining, and...
I'm staying in the hallway still,
okay,
and I'm a 16.
Okay.
I got a 13, but I'll use that 6 to make it a 9.
And Tempo, what was yours?
18 with the bonus.
So
it's a D6. It's not just an automatic 6, so you have to roll a D6.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tempo and Punchy, as Tempo crosses
16.
the hall, you both see kind of from the far end away from you, you see that little point of light kind of turn as if it's coming around a corner, and it's being held by a large human in a guard's uniform, who I will have him roll, and I will have him roll at disadvantage because it is dark, but he unfortunately has this lantern high enough, there's enough of a gleam that it reflects off of a little piece of metal, a buckle somewhere on one of your clothing, and he just learns, you hear kind of a shout. It's about like 60, 70 feet down the hallway. Hey, is someone up here?
Oh.
Hey, this area is closed. It's off limits. And begins running. You hear like armor clanking and crashing on the ground as he begins running towards you.
I run forward.
Okay.
And in my head, I go,
Get the fuck in the office. Oh, darling, shh. Please let me explain.
He pulls up. You see, large human man, full plate mail, holding up a lantern in one hand, holding a crossbow in the other, very level, pointed directly at you. And he goes, "You have 5 seconds."
I was given a recommendation to come up here,
but maybe it was to visit you. And I stroke his chest and I cast Charm Person.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'm 99% sure that he can't beat that. What is your DC, Punchy?
16? Wisdom?
Oh, he absolutely can't. Rolls a 10. Guards definitely don't get. Immediately, it just calms down and you see the crossbow lower. Yeah. Okay. That seems fine.
I'm so sorry that I scared you. You scared me.
Well, that's my job. I'm supposed to scare people away from
Well, then you're
areas that
very
are
good
off
at it.
limits. Oh, thank you. Do you need assistance? Is that why you're here?
Well, no, I don't officially need assistance. If you could just, I'm meeting someone, and we're just trying to be very discreet, darling. And so if you could just make sure nobody else bothers us.
You see him just immediately look very downcast in the way that tells you without even the insight roll, like he has heard that one before and it's never for him. It's always for someone else.
I will say, I wish it was for you.
Do you mean that?
Punchy pulls him in for a kiss.
He very happily leans in, and is the kind of thing where he just kind of stays in that like eyes closed, lips out for a moment as you pull away, and he just is left staying in the air.
I thumb his cheek to kind of tell him it's over.
Oh. Whatever you need, I'll make sure no one interrupts you.
What was your name, darling?
It's Francis.
Thank you so much, Francis. I'm Mariah.
Mariah, it's the name of an absolute angel.
Oh, stop it. So I promise,
Yes.
I'll be as quiet as possible. I won't tell anyone I was here. Just you don't tell anyone I was here, please, darling.
No, I would never. How could I?
Thank you, Francis.
A radiant angel like you. Yes, of course. And he does the thing where like he turns to go and like looks over his shoulder once, takes 2 more steps away, looks over his shoulder again.
Oh my God.
Another, like every 3 steps is like looking back to make sure that you're still there and not just a figment of his imagination, as he slowly returns the way he came.
That is so fucking easy.
Nailed it.
I like to imagine like the other two in like pressed against the door, like daggers in Brigella's hand, a held spell in Tempo's hand, just waiting for it to go wrong, and hearing the sound of this kiss like echo through the empty hallway and calming down slightly. Francis walks off towards the end of the hall.
Well,
Brigella
I
rolls
must
her
say,
eyes a little bit.
You can't say they don't have skills.
They do, but it's so to use love and sex. I mean,
No, I'd totally fuck that guy.
Whatever gets the job done, I always say. Now, let's get out of here before anyone else comes.
Investigating this other room properly.
Sure. Everybody give me an investigation check.
I'm still
I'd like to
staying
do
in the hallway.
perception.
Okay.
Can I do perception? I'd like to.
No, you can't. No. They are
All
different
right.
things.
I got a 13, yeah.
I got a 21.
Okay. So Tempo, I think you're more of, you like do a real quick, move the books on the bookshelf, like ruffle some papers in the drawer, and then start working on like opening the large window that leads out to the exterior of the building. Brigella, you take a little bit longer and you find the one book that you missed, the one book that you hadn't moved on kind of like the far highest shelf. It's even a little bit out of reach for you. You sort of cat climb your way up a couple of shelves. And it is a book that you've never heard of, an author you've never heard of, from an island you've never heard of. And you open it, and the whole thing is just a hollow piece of cardboard. And inside, you see it's been very carefully folded into this, it's sort of like dictionary-sized book, like big, thick, large encyclopedia-looking thing. And in this cavity, in this recess inside, is a deep crimson robe that has been carefully folded up and packed into it, and a small amulet made of gold. It's sort of a gold chain and a flat gold disc with an emblem of it looks like a stylized bloody axe.
Whoa.
I pocket it, and then I take out my oil, and I oil up the room. And I invite everyone to casually step out the window with me, and I like rig my ropes and rigging, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's Punchinella. I like invite Punchinella to like sit on my hip. And
Wait, why are we going out the window? I can just go downstairs.
Well, I thought we might leave everything in a bit of a dramatic flair. And I have my,
I agree.
I
It's more
click my
stylish
lighter.
this way. I will cast fly, and I'll just fly out the window.
Oh, we're just...
Tempo just like looks at this and like out the window into the night.
I'm down.
Punchy.
Jumps. Joins.
So I've got you securely on my hip. I like click the lighter. I throw it in the room. I hold my hand like high, and like I just descend with one hand holding the rope and the other hand holding Punchinella. Elegantly.
I'm gonna need to roll for cool for there. I will allow that to be acrobatics. But I roll to see how perfectly and amazingly
22.
The rope is secure. You have Punchy on one hip. Tempo flies out the window, hovers for a moment to see if you're following, and begins descending towards a darkened street nearby. You toss the lighter. There's a whoop. The whole room erupts in flame as seasoned wood, paper, and books begin catching fire. You, one hand on the rope, elegantly slide down, kicking off of the building perfectly to let go and land in a 3-point landing on the soft grass surrounding the building. You drop Punchy off of one hip, and the three of you scamper off into the night as behind you, the flames grow. But of course, you don't look back. Because no one looks back.
No, heavens, no.
You hear the sounds of like an alarm, shouts beginning to go, like a bit of a bell being rung, and you pull over. You pull off into a darkened alley, a street or two away, ledger in hand, watching the flames lick up and down City Hall. And for a moment, feel alone, take a moment to breathe, watch, rapidly a minute, 3 minutes goes by, and then a swarm of people all sort of, holding large spheres of water magically over their head and spinning them, just tearing down the street towards City Hall. And as you lean out and watch them go by, you hear a voice behind you. Well, it sounds like y'all had a real exciting evening, didn't you? You turn around. Stepping out of the shadow and pulling the hood of her cloak back is a bruised, bloody, burned Maddie. Her hair is singed. A good chunk of it is gone. Scarred, blood leaking out from under her leather armor along one side. One dagger left and a little bandolier kind of across her chest and leaning on the wall as if she needs it for support. I didn't expect that when I hired y'all, but I'll take it.
How's the circus?
Well, I lost a couple good people.
How's Slappy?
Slappy's fine. Slappy's fine. He's probably going to need a day or two or just a good cleric nearby he got a bit of a lung full of smoke, but he's all right. That thing and whatever summoned it are dealt with. I think y'all might have to make yourselves a new tent or three. It might be a bit before you can get back on tour.
How did you defeat that monstrosity? It was absolutely enormous.
Teamwork helps a lot, and I got my ways. She snaps her fingers and says a word in a language that I don't believe any of you speak. Do any of you speak giant?
Nope.
No.
Oh.
Absolutely
Just says
not.
something, and her whole hand glows with electricity for a moment before it fades. That and the rest of your companions, your fellow acrobats, whatnot, all got a trick or three up their sleeves. So group effort, I would say, even if I might have taken the lead at a certain point.
Speaking of
Well.
extra gifts, do you need a little hand with that? And I reach out a hand
She looks at you and reaches out a hand.
and I pump 15 points of healing into her.
She just... You see, like, the wound that was visible on her shoulder immediately begins closing, and like the blood stops flowing out of it. She takes a deep breath that doesn't rattle quite so much. Just goes, "Well, you got awful lot more to you than meets the eye, don't you?"
That's the way clowns are.
Sure enough is. Now, what'd y'all find? I hope that fire, that conflagration over there is a sign that you did in fact accomplish the mission.
Indeed. I found the ledger belonging to Traminor Ravenwish that clearly shows his contributions to Theobald and these nefarious.
That slippery motherfucker. Theobald. Shit. We need to get off this island right away. May I? She reaches out a hand for the ledger.
Yeah, I hand her the ledger.
She just kind of, it disappears among the blackness of her cloak. She looks around and she goes, "I got a boat waiting, and I think it would be best if y'all would came with me right away. They are going to be real upset about this. Now, I'll make sure I get you back to your circus once it's ready to get on tour if that's what you wish, but I think for your own safety, I would recommend y'all come with me."
We also found this, and I hand the book with the cloak. This was found in the magistrate's office, and believe me, his behavior...
Magistrate, too.
Yes.
This place is a den of rats. Let's get out of here as quickly as possible.
I wouldn't be so quick to judge, but I've been wrong before. All right, let's get going. And she leads you towards the docks and a waiting ship and off to your, presumably, next adventure. And I think that is where we're going to end our one shot for this evening. Wait, can we do fireworks? Everybody do fireworks.
Yeah. Oh,
Yay!
come on, give me
we
lasers.
got one. Come on, Zoom.
Come on, lasers.
Fireworks!
Oh, lasers!
Hey,
Yes!
nice.
I am all
Amazing.
powerful.
finishing with some amazing Zoom tricks. Thank you all so much for listening. Lizzie, thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, so great.
Hell,
Wow, what
yes.
a performance. That was delightful.
What a time. What a time. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more. We have more exciting one-shots and guests and awesome people coming your way. Hopefully some of them will come back. And don't forget to follow the show. We are on Instagram and TikTok at The Roll Report Cast. And if you like what you hear, you can leave us a review and a rating on, more fireworks, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube Podcasts, on Spotify, all the things. And that would be super amazing. one more time for the round. Lizzie, where can people find you and your amazing things if they want to find you on the internet?
Best place to find me is Captain Martian on Instagram. That's Captain like a captain and Martian like Mars Ian. And you'll find cosplay, you'll find burlesque, you'll find D&D, everything weird and clowny you could possibly want. Punchy is basically me. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to miss it. It is so cool. Ben, where can people find you?
I am at Ben_Rogue on Instagram. You can find my magical spells content and my Warhammer miniature content there. Woo!
And it's dope. Kaya, where can people find you?
Instagram, KAYAMEYY. And you can find all sorts of weird artsy stuff that I do.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Wait, guys, we haven't tried this virtually. This is going to be such a fun catastrophe. So, Lizzie, we like to do this stupid thing.
I love
every
stupid
show.
things.
We say, as we always do, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we do a completely improvised a cappella barbershop quartet of we don't know what the fuck it is. And it's great when it's on Zoom and we are off async. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And stay tuned for more, like we always do. 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Meow, 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 meow.
Welcome to the circus.
Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, boom.
We're all pretty great. Meow, 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 meow.
Boom.
Got
Like
the clowns
I
and
said,
the cats.
time is in your minds. That's
Time
why
is a
this song completely lacks tempo.
But entirely rhymes.
Entirely rhymes.
Entirely rhymes.
We love redundancy.
We love redundancy.
Repetition makes things easy.
Repetition makes things
Department.
easy.
Hire clowns for your
Next party.